Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Saratoga Racecourse here on Saturday. It's the 29th of July, 2023. Gonna look at all the races here on Jim Dandy Day from the spa, but before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kid 5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and I mean around the world. Looks like at Saratoga the heat wave kind of broke, so it shouldn't be as warm, but there is going to be some wet weather, off and on thunderstorms throughout the day. I handicap these races for turf, so hopefully if they don't get decimated here. But that's upstate New York. Here in New York City, we have one more day of this heat wave. It's going to be like 90 something degrees again, which is horrible. There's no air conditioner in this room. Please send help. But we're surviving. But right now in this bedroom, it's 82 degrees. So it's just horrible. I'm about to sell the house, so I don't want to I don't want to fix the air conditioner if I'm going to be moving in the next 3 months or so, but it's just horrible. But back to the racing aspect now. Today's a great card with the Jim Dandy small field, but it's a good race, and I think it's it always shows up good as a local Travers prep race. But I think particularly this year you could go a few ways in it. Some of the 2-year-old races, it wouldn't surprise me if you have some graded winners coming out of these races as their careers head forward. It's an exciting card. So we have 12 races to look at. First post time today, 12:40. So just keep that in mind. So let's get to the opener right now. It's a very good 2-year-old race. It's a maiden special weight, first $136,500 race for maidens 2-year-olds here. Field of 8 horses entered. The 8 horses in MTO, so 7 will go to the inner turf course, 1,700 meters a trip, or a mile 16th on that inner turf. I'm going to take as a top selection 7-horse Moonlight. I'm going to go 7-5-3-6 in the superfecta. 7-5-3-6 super. Top selection 7-horse Moonlight. This 2-year colt by Audible here. Todd Pletcher trains. Hirati's Jr. gets the mount. First time starter here. Todd Pletcher has great numbers with first time starters. Striking at 19%, especially with the 2-year-olds, 21%. But this horse has been training. 23rd of July was the most recent workout at the Oklahoma training turf. 5 furlongs, 102 and 1. The 6th best workout of 19 with the dogs up. And then the main track here at Saratoga, half mile, 50 and 1/5 of second. The 50th best workout, 65. He had a gate workout a few weeks ago, 4 furlongs and 49 and 3 from the gate. If he breaks well, if he has some forwardly pace, it's good on this turf course. The Todd first time starters aren't half bad, especially going with a route of ground, 18%. I'm going to give this horse a good chance on the ticket. I think you also want to give a shot to the 5-horse Frontline Warrior for Shug McGahee and Jose Ortiz. Shug doesn't have the best numbers first time out at 9%, and his 2-year-olds might need a race, but this horse has been training well on the turf course, and looks like he has a nice pedigree with the Warfront first dude on the dam side. I think this horse could stay also at 3-1. I'm going to give the Ortiz brother exact here in the opener. But to recap my selection for the first from Saratoga, I'm going to take the 7-horse Moonlight. Give kudos to the 5-horse Frontline Warrior. Where are we? 7-5-3-6 super, 7-5 in your multi-race. The second event from Saratoga, it's launch optional claimer purse, $156,000. Races for 3-year-olds and upwards, never won 18,000 twice in the main claim starter or state board allowance race, which never won through races. Optional claim price $62,500. We have a field of 8 horses, including a part of an entry going the distance of ground of 1,200 meters or 6 furlongs on the main track. Gonna take the 1 horse, My Harbor's Dream. I'm gonna go 1-4-5-7 in the superfecta. 1-4-5-7 super. Top selection to 1 horse, My Harbor's Dream. 4-year-old gelding by Harbor the Gold. Dave Jacobson trains. Manny Franco gets to mount. Horse's most recent outing came first started on the East Coast on the 25th of June at Monmouth. 6 furlongs and off 16 claimer. And the horse went by 3 quarters in length that day. From wide posture, he didn't get out of the gate so quickly, but he settled well towards the back of the pack. When he got to the front end, he was all out, and he got the job done. I thought it was a very good, strong performance. Coming here to Saratoga, was entered for a race actually on Friday afternoon. Scratched out of this one, running here today, in a better spot with a good posture, could be forwardly paced. I think he'd go a long way and win. He was based in Southern California, from last summer to earlier this year, and he had some California speed. 2 back at Santa Anita, 6 furlongs and claiming 10,000. He finished second by a head that day, and he was with them early on. He just couldn't catch the winner who outgamed him, but he came home with a strong 86 buyer. And then at Santa Anita, 6.5 in a start allowance race, he finished 6 by 4 lengths that day, and he was just wide, just not showing up. Before going any further, very off subject, I saw the press release about Santa Anita with them with Golden Gate closing and them trying to get the extra day racing in the fall. I just think that's that's putting a band-aid on a wound that's getting a little bit bigger than we expected. But who would have thought in Northern California that the California Fair Circuit looks like it's going to last longer than Golden Gate, but we'll have to wait and see. But I'm quite interested in what they're talking about San Antonio with a 1 mile turf shoot. If there was a press release, go read it somewhere on DRF or something like that. But California racing is just not as good. Since the right before the pandemic, it's just not something that's been very interesting for me. Except Del Mar. Del Mar's been interesting this week. I just haven't been looking at it for YouTube, but there's the Friday card was quite nice. But back to this horse. 8th of April, he ran San Antonio going 6.5, where he finished 6 by 4 lengths. Again, he just was very wide, couldn't keep up there. Prior to that, they tried him on the turf, going 5 furlongs in their turf sprint series. He had a wide posture and just didn't show a lot that day. He won once in the 15th of January at San Antonio, claiming 20,000, won by 4 3/4 lengths on the front and all throughout. I thought he ran a strong performance. He's training well at Belmont and here at Saratoga. I'm going to give him a shot on the ticket. I think your second likeliest winner here is the 4-horse Bold Journey for Javier Castellano and Belmont. Most recently in a allowance race at Belmont going 6. He won by a half a length that day, and he sat back early. He slowly moved his way up, and he got the job done going away. A very good run. He was running like a turf horse until they finally took him to the turf. The start prior at Belmont, 7 furlongs on the wider and allowance race. Finished second by 3/4 in length that day. He was stupidly wide, but he just missed the lead. He outran his odds that day. And then they ran in the Grade 1 Carter. It wasn't the world's deepest Carter. He finished 5th by 4.5 lengths. He was just a little bit wide and wasn't keeping up. I believe I backed him that day. It was stupid me. He ran terrifically, though, in a state bred optional 45, winning by 6 lengths coming from a tracking trip. He really took off clear at Aqueduct in the summer. He ran here last summer where he placed he finished 7th in a 7 furlong state bred allowance race on Travers Day. Then he ran here on Jim Dandy weekend last year in a 6 furlong state bred allowance race where he finished second by a length, where he didn't break so well and was stupidly wide, but he was gaining late. Coming here today, I'm going to give him a shot here at 5-2. He could definitely win. His workouts here in New York, downstate at Belmont, have been very nicely done on the main track. But to recount my selection for the second from the Spa, I'm going to take the 1-horse My Harbor's Dream. Give kudos to the 4-horse Bold Journey. 1-4-5-7 Super. 1-4 in your multi-race. The third event now from the Meadowlands, because I have Meadowlands up in the corner here. But the third race from Saratoga now. It is a claiming event going for a $50,000 purse race for 3-year-olds and upwards. Never won 2 races here. Claim price $35,000. We have a field here of 15 horses enter, 13's an AE, 14, 15 RMTOs, so 12 ahead to the Mellon Turf Course, 1,100 meters a trip, or 5.5 furlongs on that Mellon Turf Course. Rails are at 18 feet. I'm going to take the 2-horse Luna Warrior as a top selection. 2-6-11-4 for me in the superfecta. 2-6-11-4 super. Top selection of 2-horse Luna Warrior. This 5-year-old gun by Warfront here. Jose D'Angelo trains. Javier Castellano gets the mount. Horse's most recent appearance came closing weekend at Belmont. 6 furlongs in the Widener and a maiden 40,000. It took him 7 starts to break the maiden, but he finally did. Winning by 1.5 lengths, and from a tracking trip, he didn't break so well, but he got good position after that. He quickened up nicely off of that, and he got the job done. A 77 buyer. It was a career best race. Coming here, cutting back to 5.5 on the rail. Could be forwardly paced. I think he has enough speed to hold on to get the job done. 2 back at Belmont, 7 furlongs and Widener, and a maiden 40,000. He finished second by a neck that day. From wide posture, he stalked. He had the lead, and then he yielded. It was his first start since March. He probably needed the race there. And then a maiden special weight Gulfstream, mile 70 off the turf on the Tapeta. He finished 5th by 2 1/4 lengths that day. And, he just ran flat. I don't like his 2-turn races. He ran in the maiden 40 before that at Gulfstream going 7.5, where he finished second by a neck. Again, he just kind of got overtaken late. He just doesn't want to go the 7.5 around 2 turns. I think 7 furlongs on the Widener at Belmont would be his preferred trip, but you're not running now at Belmont for another, 9 months or so. But coming here at 5.5, I think he could find a good trip on the front end. I would use him. I'm going to use him, actually. The 6-horse Carpe's Dream for Jose Lascano and Gregory DePrima, I think is your second likeliest winner. Most recently in allowance race for 95,000 at Belmont on the 8th of July. He finished 10th by 13 3/4 lengths that day, and he was wide and just not excelling that day. Might have needed the race. Also came up as a very tough allowance race. He's stepping down to a claiming race for the first time. That's the world's deepest race. I think he can find a better trip and win. He's run speed figures that can win this race. Prior to that at Belmont on the 9th of June going 6th in allowance race, 95,000. He finished 6th by 3 lengths that day, and he just sat back early, was a little bit wide, but he was gaining somewhat late. Off the bench, I thought he showed potential. And then allowance race at Aqueduct, 6 furlongs on the 10th of October. He finished 7th by 13 lengths. He didn't get out of the gate so clearly, which cost him. He ran here at Saratoga last summer in going a mile on optional 80, where he finished 5th by 1/4 lengths, where the speed just melted down. He walked in the front, and he just wasn't getting the mile trip. I think cutting back in trip to 5.5. stepping down in class. I think he could get a good trip here at 8-1. I'm going to give him a shot here. Like I said, he's run races fast enough to win against these horses. The 11 horse War Terminator for Gary Contessa and Ira Ortiz Jr. Ran here a few weeks ago, 20th of July, so 9 days ago, and started a Lounge race. We finished fourth by 2 1/4 lengths that day, and he had a bit of a tough trip that day, which caused him. I think going to the outside should suit him better. Prior to that, going 6th on the 23rd of July and claiming 30 at Belmont, he had a very good place that day where he was just a little bit wide, but he was gaining that day with a class relief. Again, I'll give him a shot here. He could definitely win on the ticket at 9-2. But to recount my selection for the third from the Spa, I'm going to take the 2 horse Luna Warrior, give kudos to the 6 horse Carpe's Dream and the 11 horse War Terminator, where we 2-6-11 for Super, 2-6-11 in your multi race. The fourth race from the Spa, it's a maiden claiming event going for a $52,000 purse race for maidens, fillies, and mares, 3-year-olds, then upwards, going for a claim price $40,000. We have a field of 11 horses going 1,200 meters or 6 furlongs on the main track. I'm going to take the 2 horse Best Coast as the top selection, 2-6-3-11 for me in the superfecta. 2-6-3-11 Super, top selection 2 horse Best Coast, this 3-year-old filly by West Coast here. Brad Cox trains. Florent Giroux gets the mounts. The horse is only out and came the 11th of June at Ellis, 7 furlongs and a maiden 100,000, and he finished 6th by 13.5 lengths that day. And from a wide poster, he was wide throughout, but he got a good tracking trip that day, but then he just crumbled. I think cutting back to 6, it probably won't get the lead from the inside. I don't think he has enough pace to get to it, but I think he'd get a good tracking trip here today, and I think he could, get away with it to run a good race here today. Also, from a maiden 100 to a maiden 40 should suit him well. Training well since the last race in the Oklahoma, 4 furlongs and 50 flat, 24th best workout 41, and a half mile 49-1. Coming here today, I'll give him a shot. I think the 6 horse Party Grants for Linda Rice and Jose Ortiz, your second likeliest winner. A Kentucky shipper cutting back in trip and also in class. Most recently or not class, but most recently in maiden 40 at Churchill Derby week. He finished second by 2 lengths going the mile 16th, and he just was with him early on. He moved a little bit late, but he needs something more. He just was flat that day. Then a Mahoning 1 mile in the main special weight. He finished third by 6 1/4 lengths that day. He didn't break so well and was very lackadaisical. Since coming to the new barn, he's been training quite well at Belmont and here at Saratoga. Workouts have been getting better and better. Should show some slight speed. I would give him a shot here on the ticket. And also the 3 horse Mooney for Linda Rice and Jose Lascano. Now let's see, which one will Linda Rice scratch in this one? Will she keep both of them running, or will she scratch one of them? This Mooney ran on the 26th of May at Belmont, 6 furlongs in main 40, claimed from Rudy Rod to Linda Rice that day, and he finished second by 2 3/4 lengths that day. Was wide throughout, had to lead in the lane, just kind of got overtaken, but he ran his heart out that day, seeing some wicked fast fractions. Prior to that, going 7 in main 40 at Aqueduct, the horse finished second by 2 1/4 lengths that day. Not the best of beginnings that day, but he had a decent second coming home with a 60 buyer. I'm going to give him a shot here on the ticket. He could definitely win here on paper. And also, there's a pick 4, I believe, that begins with, if not this race or the next one, or the previous race, I can't remember. In the pick 4, I would go 3 deep in this one. But to recount my selection for the 4th from the Spa, I'm going to take the 2 horse Best Coast, give kudos to the 6 horse Party of Grants and the 3 horse Mooney, 2-6-3-11 Super, 2-6-3 in your multi-race. This heat, I can't even think straight right now. But let's carry on. The 5th race from Saratoga. It's an optional claimer purse, $156,000 races for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards, never won $18,000 twice, and main claim state bred and allows racer, which never won, blah, 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 blah. Optional claim price, $62,000. We have a field of 7 horses going 1,400 meters or 7 furlongs on the main track. I'm going to take the 5 horse, You Look Cold. God, complete opposite right now. I'm going to go 5-7-2-6 in the superfecta. 5-7-2-6 Super. Top selection of 5 horse, You Look Cold. This 4-year-old filly by Frosted. Belmont trains. Junior Alvarado gets the mounts. The horse's most recent outing came 12th of May at Belmont. 6 furlongs and option 6-2 claimer. And he finished second by a head that day, and he stalked a quick pace that day. He was gaining late, he just missed, but he ran his heart out that day. Not the world's worst race for him. Coming to here 7 furlongs, so she was a strong pace up in front, and I think he closed up into it to run a good race here today. Since coming to the Mont Barn, he's become a great horse. The only subpar race was the first start in the Mont Barn, where they ran him on turf going at Gulfstream, 1 mile and optional 25. That was on Pegasus Day. He finished 12th by 18 lengths that day, and just had a horrible race. Steadied a few times, was wide throughout. Not a turf horse. He wants to go 7 furlongs or 6 furlongs on the main track. After that, ran him 6 furlongs of Gulfstream on the 26th February in Ops 25, where he won by 5 1/4 lengths, and he didn't get out of the gate so clearly, but he settled well. He quickened up nicely into that, and it went away a very nice run. And then late March at Gulfstream, going 3/4 in Ops 6-2, he finished third by 2 lengths that day. And he just needed something more, but he ran his heart out. I think he's been crying out for 7. He's training well. I love him a lot in this spot. I think the 7 horse here, Good Sam for Ira Ortiz and Chad Brown, could definitely get a good piece and win. Most recently, first off the bench in Op 6-2 at Belmont over the 7. He finished second by 2 1/4 lengths that day. Was a little bit wide that day. Had the lead. Just kind of got overtaken late. Needed the race there. Prior to that, ran the Tempted at Aqueduct over the mile. The horse won by 3 1/4 lengths, and he basically won on the front end. A very nice, strong performance. And then the slop last October at Aqueduct, going 6.5 in the main special weight, win by 4 1/4, coming home with career best 81 Buyer in debut. This horse really took off clear. Second off the bench, this horse should be a lot fresher. I'll give her a shot on the ticket. But to recap my selection for the 5th from Saratoga, I'm going to take the 5 horse. You look cold. To give kudos to the 7 horse, Good Sam. Let's see, 5726 Super, 5-7 in your multi-race. This 6th event from the spot, it's a maiden special weight purse, $88,000, race for maidens, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward, state breds here. We have a field of, a field of 15 horses entered, including a part of an entry. 14 is an AE, 1 and 1A are MTOs, so actually we'll have a field here of, we'll have a field of 12 horses going to the Mellon. The distance of ground is 1,700 meters, or mile 16th on that Mellon turf course. Rails are 18 feet. I'm going to take the 11 horse here, Autumn, as a top selection. 11.836 in the superfecta. 11.836 super. Top selection, 11 horse Autumn. This 3-year-old filly by Constitution. Shug McGahee trains. Tyler Gaffalione gets to mount. Horse's most recent outing came 27th of May at Belmont. 7 furlongs in main special weight, 75,000. And the horse finished 6 by 4 1/4 lengths that day, and he just kind of stalked most of the race. He needed something more late. He ran his heart out, but I just think he wants to go 2 turns. He's going to get it today. He's going to have to overcome a wide poster, but we saw a horse overcome a wide poster earlier this week to win, and I go to mile 16th on the Mellon, and I think he go a long way and win and get a good race today. I backed the horse on the debut at Aqueduct. That was on one Memorial Day. 6 furlongs in the main special weight. He had a great position early on. Then he got between horses and then fell at the 3/16 pole. Jose Lezcano, I believe, fractured a bone in his wrist that day. What can you do? It's just some bad race riding by other riders that put him into jeopardy that day. Throw that race out. But coming around 2 turns, which I think this horse ultimately wants, training well, I think this horse get a good chance to win. Shug McGahee has great numbers for into routes, striking at 23%, so I'm going to give him a shot. And also 2 sprints to route, 30%, so watch out for this one here today. I think a second likeliest winner in the spot is the 8 horse here, Bomb Squad for Christophe Camat and Joel Rosario. Most recently in a state bred main special weight at Belmont over the mile 16th, he finished 3rd by 3 lengths that day, and he just kind of stalked that day. I thought he needed something more, but he was closing up into a very, very pedestrian pace that day. Prior to that, 1st June at Belmont, about a mile and 1/8 in the main special weight, he finished 2nd by 3/4 length that day, and again, very slow pace that day. He moved a little bit. He needs something more, but I've seen a lot worse races for him. Like the race before at Aqueduct, going a mile 16th in that main special weight, first off the bench, he needed the race. Finished 7 by 4 lengths. He was wide throughout, breaking 11 of 12. It just wasn't a recipe for success. Coming here with 3 decent races, improving with all of them, I'm going to give him a shot on the ticket. And also the 3 was a splendid one for Mark Henning. Last time out going Belmont, the 17th of June, he just, was a little bit wide that day and setting some, slow fractions. He just couldn't keep up with those fractions. But prior to that, I thought coming off the pace, he had a decent 3rd in that state bred main special weight, and then he probably needed the first turf race of the season. But his turf numbers aren't bad at all. I 10-1 getting Johnny V back up. I'll give him a shot on the ticket, but I do prefer the other ones before him. But to recap my selection for the 6 from Saratoga, gonna take the 11 horse Autumn. Give kudos to the 8 horse Bomb Squad and the 3 horse Splendid One. 11.836 super. 11.83 in your multi-race. Let's get to the late pick 6, or the pick 6, race number 7 from Saratoga. The 7th race from Saratoga. It's a maiden special weight purse, $136,500. Races for maidens, 2-year-olds here. We have a field of 12 horses entered. 11 and 12 are AE. So 10 will go 1,300 meters or 6.5 furlongs on the Saratoga main track. Like I said earlier, some of these horses might end up in these two-year-old races. Some of these horses might end up in what do you call it? The stakes races towards the end of their season, or even as going to 3-year-olds. This is the race, I think. I think you're going to see a lot of good horses coming out of this one. I love the 4-horse Dornock as a top selection. Gonna go 4.985 in the superfecta. 4.985 super, top selection 4-horse Dornock. This 2-year-old called by Good Magic here. Danny Gargan trains. Luis Saez gets the mount. This horse is a first-time starter here, but had a bullet drill 22nd of July, which was last week. Half mile on the main track from the gate, 46-2, the best workout in 119 from the gate. I thought that's quite impressive. Should show some speed here, and if the speed's holding up, he should go a long way. 13th of July was his previous workout in the Oklahoma, half mile 50-4, 30th best workout of 40, and a half mile in 48-4, the 17th best workout 56. His workouts have been getting quicker and quicker. I like the bullet gate right before the race. You know, the Good Magic with the Big Brown on the dam side. This horse looks like he probably wants longer as the future goes on. Early Belmont horse for next year, but he looks loaded here. I like him a lot. Keep him in your notebook as the season goes on. The 9-horse Global Perspective for Chad Brown and Flavien Pratt is another horse keep an eye on. This two-year colt by Tappet, another first-time starter, another gate workout, 48-1 last workout, the 11th best workout of 89, and a half mile 55, 46 best workout 72. Coming here today, I would give this horse a massive shot on the ticket also. I think he has a strong chance. The workouts have been nicely done. I like the Tappet with Indian Charlie on the dam side, so should show some speed. Watch out for this horse late, but in general, it's the kind of race I think you would all, if you have the extra payroll for the pick six, I would all, because any of these horses I think can win. They all bought them for a nice dollar here, and they all just have beautiful pedigrees. So this is one of those races as a fan you just watch and you're going to see greatness come out of this one. But to recount my selection for the 7 from Saratoga, I'm going to take the 4-horse Dornock. Give kudos to the 9-horse Global Perspective, 4.985 super. I would single this race in the pick six. It looks very nice, this one, because I think you can give a chance to any of these horses here. But let's head over to the late pick 5, the 8th race now from Saratoga, which is featured on the program. Or the co-feature. It is the Alfred G. Vanderbilt Handicap. It's a grade 1 event going for a $350,000 purse race for 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 7 horses in the Vanderbilt going this 1,200-meter journey or 6 furlongs on the main track. Going to take the 6-horse Dean Delivers as top selection. Let's go 6-4-5-7 in the superfecta. 6-4-5-7 super. Top selection of 6-horse Dean Delivers. This 4-year colt by Cajun Breeze. Michael Yates trains. Esmail Hadamio gets to mount. The horse's most recent outing came 29 days ago on the 1st July Gulfstream. 6 furlongs in the grade 3 Smile Sprint. And the horse won by 2 1/4 lengths that day. And he, didn't break sharply that day, but he got out of the gate. But after that, he basically went on the front end and didn't look back. Driving home late, 100 buyer, has definitely been on the improve, and that was his peak race. That was a very strong performance. Now, facing the big boys here in New York to a grade 1, I think he has enough speed to really go a long way and win here today. 2 back in a state bred big drama stakes at Gulfstream, 7 furlongs the 20th of May. He won by 3 3/4 lengths that day, and he stalked that day. He was a little bit bumping that day, but when he got to the front end, he quickened up nicely, and he got the job done. A 99 buyer, very good, strong performance. And Sir Shackleton at Gulfstream, 7 furlongs on Florida Derby Day. He finished second by a neck behind Weyburn that day. Again, he was brushing the lane. He just missed Weyburn, but they ran terrifically that day. And then they tried him in the Gulfstream Park Mile and the Fred Hooper. Both races over the mile. He just wasn't excelling in those races. He got beat by Endorse, who was freaking this winter at Gulfstream. Like I said, I just don't think this horse wants to go a mile. I think 6 furlongs is his better trip. He has a lot of speed into him. He's been on the improve as the season goes on. Watch out for him here at 8-1 in the graveyard of favorites. With that being said, I think the 4-horse Elite Powers 4-5 is your second likeliest winner. Most recently in the True North of Belmont Stakes weekend, the horse won by 1 3/4 lengths that day, and he was stupidly wide, but he basically waltzed home a 102 career best buyer. That was a very good performance back from Saudi Arabia. Prior to then, the Riyadh Sprint over the 6 furlongs in King Abdulaziz Racecourse, he won by 3 1/4 lengths that day, and he was stupidly wide, but he took off clear again that day. Won the Breeders' Cup Sprint, won the Vosburg's first-time stakes quality horses last year. Came here last summer on Labor Day weekend, closing weekend, where he won by 5 3/4. He's a great horse. He's a nice winning streak. Wouldn't surprise me if he wins, but 4-5, he he's at the graveyard of favorites, and I think you have to watch out for Dean Delivers, who's like I said, really improving. The horse you want to see coming here to Saratoga, and also watch out for the 5 horse here. Good night for Steve Asmussen and Tyler Gaffleone. Won the Aristides a few weeks ago, Churchill quite nicely. The 2 races in the Middle East, he ran okay in the Golden Shaheen and okay race in the Riyadh sprint race, but the races stateside last year, over the 7 weren't bad at all. He won the Amsterdam last summer over this main track, placed behind Jack Christopher in the Jerkins. Watch out for him; he could definitely win also, but I think the other 2 are likeliest winners, especially Dean Delivers. I like him a lot, can't you tell? But to recap my selection for the 8th from Saratoga, it's Steve Vanderbilt, the Alfred G. Vanderbilt's handicap. Going to take the 6-horse Dean Delivers. Give kudos to the 4-horse Elite Power and the 5-horse Goodnight. 6-4-5-7 Super. 6-4-5 in your multi-race. Let's head over to the turf course to the 9th race now from Saratoga, which is an allowance race, purse $149,500. Race for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards, which never won $18,000 twice in the main claim starter, or which never won 2 races here. We have a field of, a field of 16 horses entered. 12 is an AE, 13, 14, 1, 15, 1A are MTOs. So they're going the distance of ground is 1,600 meters or a mile on the inner turf course. I'm going to take the 10 horse here, who is, get your kicks, 10-4-5-8 for me in the superfecta, 10-4-5-8 super, top selection 10 horse, get your kicks, 3-year-old filly by Quality Road, Chad Brown trains, Flavian Pratt gets the mount. Horse hasn't been seen since the 13th of May at Belmont, a mile 16th in the Widener, an option 6-2 claimer. And the horse finished 4th by 5 1/4 lengths that day, and he just kind of stalked all the way around the race course. He needs something more late, but he ran his heart out first start in New York, coming off a little bit of a bench, should be a little bit more fresher, training well into this one. I'm going to give him a shot here again, second time winners. Prior to the main special weight Florida Derby Day at Goldstrom of the mile, he won by 5 1/4 lengths that day. From a wide posture, he was a little bit wide, but he got out of the gate to get better position than he was drawn in, and when he got to the front end, he took off clear. A very good, strong performance in this turf debut. His debut on the dirt at Goldstrom going a mile in mid-February in the main special weight, he finished 4th by 14 lengths that day. He was very fractious that day. Front and the rail, he just didn't show a lot, and he's just not a dirt horse. He might be bred for it, but he does his better running style on the green stuff. Back to the green stuff today, he could definitely win. I think the 4-horse no-show Sammy Joe for Grand Motion and Manny Franco is your second likeliest winner. Most recent main special weight at Belmont over the 24th of June over the mile, he won by 2 1/4 lengths. He was drawn stupidly wide, but he kept gaining that day. A very good, strong performance, coming home with a very nice 77 buyer, coming around 2 turns for the first time. Should definitely get the mile trip, could sit a little bit closer, which is ideal on this turf course. I expect him to really improve off that run. Prior to the main special weight at Belmont over the 12th of May, he finished 4th by 4 3/4 lengths that day. He was a little bit wide. The winner took off clear, but this horse, he ran his heart out in debut. He's training well here in New York at Saratoga. Give him a shot on the ticket. And also the 5-horse Expand the Map for Chad Brown. Most recently going a mile at Belmont on Belmont Stakes weekend. He just had a very troubled trip at the top of the lane. There was, unfortunately, an accident there, so, give him a break in that spot. Prior to that, at Belmont 7 furlongs launch race in early May, he finished 2nd by a neck, closing up from nowhere. A very good, strong performance. And the seasonal reappearance on Wood Memorial Day at Aqueduct, he might have needed the race, but he ran terrifically behind the winner that day. It took him a little bit time to break the maiden, but he's really become a better horse. Last time out, give him the break because he did fall into an unfortunate circumstance with the faller at the top of the lane. But a very nice race to begin the late pick 4 here. I think I'm going to go 3 deep. But to recap my selection for the 9th from Saratoga, going to take the number 10 horse here. Get your kicks. Give kudos to the 4-horse no-show Sammy Joe and the 5-horse Expand the Map. 10-4-5-8 Super. 10-4-5 to begin this late pick 4. Let's get to the 10th event from the Spa. The feature 10th race from Saratoga, it is the Jim Dandy Stakes. It's a grade 2 event going for a $500,000 purse, race for 3-year-olds here. We have a field of 5 horses taking a stroll around the Saratoga main track, which is 1,800 meters in circumference, or a mile and 1/8 on the Saratoga main track. My top selection in this year's Jim Dandy, I love the 1-horse Disarm. I'm going to go 1-2-5-4 in the superfecta. 1-2-5-4 super, top selection of 1-horse Disarm. This 3-year-old colt by Gunrunner, Steve Asmussen trains. Joel Rosario gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came in the Matt Winner Ellis, sloppy going a mile and eighth and 11th of June, and the horse won by half a length, and he did the complete opposite of the bias that day. It was playing towards front end speed or front runners, just kept going around two turns on the front end. This horse, he sat back early. When he slowly moved his way to the front end, he quickened up nicely, and he closed up into a very mediocre pace. He got the job done, winning it by half a length. Career best 102 Beyer, a very good, strong performance cutting back from the Derby. Coming here today, hopefully seeing a little closer. I think he could really run a good race and improve off that run. Prior to that, he ran the Kentucky Derby or Churchill, mile and a quarter, 6th of May, and he ran a sneaky good fourth place finish by 9 1/4 lengths that day. He sat back early mid pack, a little bit bumping that day. He was gaining that day, not a bad race. He ran better than I expect him to do that day. Then they took him to the Lexington prior to that at mile 16th at Keeneland. He finished third by 4 3/4 lengths. They needed the points to get into the Derby that day. He stalked. He got third. He got the points. I don't know if they were really trying for the victory. It was his first start. It was a quick turnaround considered to the race before, which was at the fairgrounds, mile 3/16 in the Louisiana Derby, where he finished second by 3.5 lengths behind King's Baron that day, who basically waltzed on the front end, or walked on the front end. He won 14-3 to 3/4. You're going to win off those fractions, and King's Baron did that. He closed into the pace, but it was just too slow to really gain any more ground. And then at Oaklawn, 1 mile and optional 100. First off the long refreshing, he finished second by 4 lengths that day. He didn't break so well, and he probably needed the race. He broke his main last summer over this main track by 6.5, really taking off clear. So, he likes his track. He's trending well over it. He ran a strong race last time out. I'm going to give him a shot here to begin off the second part of the season. I think the 2-horse Forte is your second likeliest winner. 3-year Colt by Violence. Blinkers on today. He gets a little lackadaisical, they say around the turn. We'll get to that in a second. But most recently in the Belmont, a mile and a half on the 10th of June. Off the long refreshing, he finished second by 1 1/4 lengths, and he was gaining that day behind Archangelo, who was kind of decreasing margin victory late. He was wide, but he kept coming. Not a bad race. I wonder if they would have had the blinkers on that day, would he have won? Again, it looked like he was done at the quarter pole, but he kept coming, late. The thing with him is around the turns, he just doesn't really concentrate. And when he gets to the lane, that's when he finally re-engages. Prior to that, again, in the Florida Derby, he was run 11-12, but he ran terrifically, won by a length, a little bit wide. He just didn't look engaged around the far turn, but when he got to the lane, he kept coming. A very good, strong performance, and then probably one of his best races in the Fountain of Youth. It wasn't the strongest Beyer with a 98 Beyer, but he won by 4 1/4 lengths, closing up from nowhere. Very good, strong performance. He ran on this track last year in the Sanford, where he finished 4th, but came back on closing day on the slot to win the Hopeful, came back to win the Breeders' Futurity, and then went on to win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Keeneland quite nice in the fall, as to end off the season as your 2-year-old champion. Training well locally, he could definitely win at 7-5, and also the 5-horse Angel of Empire. In the Belmont, he finished 4th by 2 1/4 lengths, and he just never was getting the mile and a half that day. Prior to that in the Derby, he was gaining that day, but it was just a little bit too late. But I thought the race in Arkansas wasn't bad at all for the Derby, and when the Risen started, not bad at all. Another horse he could definitely win. I would use him on the ticket, but I do prefer the other ones before him, especially Disarm. I'm going to do a very nice win place on him. But to recount my selection for the 10th from Saratoga, it is the Jim Dandy. You're going to take the 1-horse Disarm. Give kudos to the 2-horse Forte and the 5-horse Angel of Empire. 1, 2, 5, 4 Super. 1, 2 in your multi-race. The 11th race now from Saratoga. We're almost finished. Late double here. The 11th race, it's a State Bred Allowance race going for a $95,000 purse race. Fillies and Mayors, 3-year-olds and upwards. State Breds here. We have a field of 14 horses entered, 13 and 14 are MTOs, so 11 will go 1,100 meters or 5.5 furlongs in the Mellon Turf Course. Gonna take the 3-horse Snowy Evening as a top selection. Gonna go 3-5-8-9 in the superfecta. 3-5-8-9 super, top selection of 3-horse Snowy Evening. This, where are we? This 3-year-old filly by Frosted. David Donk trains. John Velasquez gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 15th of July, opening weekend here at the Spa. 1 mile in the State Bred Allowance race. He finished 5th by 4 lengths that day, and he had a bit of a trouble trip that day. He was a little bit wide. He moved a little bit late, but it wasn't anything to call home about. I think finally cutting back in trips to suit him well. He doesn't need to lead, but he should get a good tracking trip on the inside, and I think he could be running late to the winner's circle. Watch out for me here with this one today. Prior to that, at Belmont, a mile and eighth in State Board Lounge race on the inner turf course, he finished second by 2 lengths that day. He just kind of stalked that day. He wasn't staying the final furlong. I've seen worse races from him, but he just wasn't a mile and the eighth horse. And then at 7 furlongs in the wider at Belmont in the main special weight, he won by 1 1/4 lengths. It took him 7 starts to break the main, but he finally did going away a little bit wide, but it was a very good, strong performance. And then at Belmont in late May, 7 furlongs in the main special weight, he finished third by 1 1/4 lengths that day. Again, a little bit wide, but he always runs these good races on turf. Since coming to the green stuff, he's really been on the improve in the Dong Pard. Watch out from here at 4-1. I think your second likeliest winner is the 5 horse Fancy Pass Juliana for David Donk. This horse looks like she has the speed here, but most recently in the Niagara at the Finger Lakes on July 4th, she finished fourth by 15 1/4 lengths that day and had a bad beginning, which cost her. Prior to that, won a main special with Finger Lakes and a main special weight quite nicely by 3/4 length. And then last year, under the Englehart care at Aqueduct, 6 furlongs 30 September, and a 6 furlong main special weight on the lawn. She finished fourth by 3 lengths that day. Horrible beginning, but she did show something early on there. And then here at Saratoga, going 5.5 in the main special weight, nearly to a year to the day. He finished third by 1 1/4 lengths that day, a little bit wide, but still ran a terrific race drawn in the parking lot. Should show some speed here at 5:20. It wouldn't surprise me if the stablemate wins here in this one. And also watch out for the 8 horse here. Busy morning for Flavien Prat. Hasn't been seen since the fall at Aqueduct, where this horse had a little bit of a disappointing race at Aqueduct, where the horse just basically lost all chance at the beginning. The races before that here at the spot, and definitely the race 2 back at Belmont, could definitely win. I would use this horse in the pick 4 also, but she might need the race. But to recount my selection for the 11th from Saratoga, going to take the 3 horse Snow Evening, give kudos to the 5 horse Fancy Pants Julia, and the 8 horse Busy Morning. 3, 5, 8, 9 Super, 3, 5, 8 in your multi-race. Let's get to the nightcap, the 12th race from Saratoga. The nightcap, the 12th race from Saratoga. It's a maiden special weight purse, $136,500. Races for maidens, fillies, mares, 3-year-olds and upwards here. We have a field of, field 13 horses entered, 11, 12 are AEs, 13s and MTO, so 10 will head to the inner turf course. The distance of ground of 2,200 meters, or a mile 3/8 on the inner turf course. I like that this week they've been carting quite a lot of these mile 3/8 longer distance races. I believe next week they're in the next condition book. There's quite a few of these races also, and on Wednesday they drew a 1.25 mile dirt race that's not a stakes race, start a lounge race, which is very rare here in New York. So keep these long distance races coming, because I absolutely like them. But my top selection here, I'm going to go with 3-horse Tarit. I'm going to go 3-7-6-9 in the superfecta. 3769 Super, top selection of 3-horse Tarit. 3-year-old filled by Pioneer of the Nile. Christophe Clement trains. Joel Rosario gets to mount. The horse's most recent outing, first off the bench, came in 2nd July at Belmont. A mile and a quarter on the inner turf course in main special weight. He finished third by 2 1/4 lengths that day. He was just a little bit wide that day. He was moving a little bit late, but he needed something more. I think going to the mile 3/8, a little bit leveler playing field, not as quirky as the 1 1/4 at Belmont. I think he get a good trip to win here today. 2 back at Keeneland, a mile 3/16, 28th of April in the main special weight. The horse finished fourth by 3 lengths that day. Was very wide that day. He moved a little bit late, but he needed something more. And then the debut at Gulfstream, 19th of March, going a mile and 1/8 on the lawn in main special weight. He finished third by 3 3/4 lengths that day. Not the best beginnings. He sat back early from a wide poster, but he needs something more. He's definitely been improving with every single race. Going to a mile 3/8 here today with a longer trip. I'm going to give him a shot here on the ticket. I think the 7-horse She's Mo Bubbly for Todd Pletcher and Ira Ortiz Jr. should get a good trip and win. Third time turf, but second time over a longer trip. Most recently, 3rd June at Belmont, about a mile 3/8 in main special weight. He finished second by 2 1/4 lengths that day and closed up into a basically very pedestrian pace, 1:18 3/4 for this horse to close up into it behind Highland Grace. I thought she ran terrifically that day. Highland Grace was a next star winner who won quite easily. Prior to that, in April at Aqueduct, 1 mile in the main special weight. She finished 5th by 2 1/4 lengths that day. And again, she sat back early. She was loaded. She had a trouble trip in the lane, which cost her, but she ran her heart out that day. And then mid-February at Aqueduct, 7 furlongs in the main special weight. Finished 4th by 5 lengths. She showed speed early on, but then just kind of crumbled. Quick turnaround from the Florida race. Maybe she just wasn't adjusted to the climate that day. 80 cents to the dollar, she should have won. But since coming to the green stuff, she's really improved. They think highly of her. They only bought her for $825,000 at 3-1. Watch out for her late in the spot. But to recap my selection for the 12th from Saratoga now, I'm going to take the 3-horse Tarita as a top selection, give kudos to the 7-horse She's Mo Bubbly, 3769 Super, 37 to end off the pick 4. So good luck to all. I'm going to go jump now into a very cold pool so I could cool off because it's pathetic how warm it is right now. If you could see the sweat dripping off of me. So we finally made it through after talking 40 minutes. But with that being said, follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world. And join me tomorrow for the Bowling Green here from Saratoga. It looks like it's going to be an excellent race. So good luck, everybody.